Iran for the 32nd and last remaining spot of France 98.
Since the Olympics in 1956, has the entire planet been watching this superb arena? It's a simple equation for Australia to follow. Don't let in a goal, and you're not the World Cup finals.
Well, it's been a huge investment in Terry Venables, and indeed the way his team has been prepared.
They are just nowhere. Australia has them on the ropes.
Well, it could be 3-0.
Australia deserves to have this match over by this time. We're well and truly on the way to France.
I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I guess I would think about Iran, if not every day, every second day since the 3 years it happened.
I've never watched the game, I've never watched the tape, and I don't probably ever want to watch it. One day I'll give it to my son and say watch it, but I don't want to know about it.
You know, even till today, everyone you come up against everyone still talks about that game against Iran, where they were. People remember even still today where they were that night and how they cried and how their heart went out for the Australian soccer team after that result.
But out of it, I would say it's maybe one of the saddest sporting moments in my life.
Today's arrival in Melbourne was a placid affair compared to the pressure the Socceroos faced in Tehran. One player who thrived in the away leg was teenage sensation Harry Kewell, who scored a brilliant first-half goal. The 19-year-old is hoping the MCG crowd can produce the same atmosphere as the home fans provided for Iran.
They had about 120 over there, and I mean, you can see what the crowd can do. I mean, if the crowd get behind us, we should pummel them.
And to arrive in Melbourne and drive in from the airport and see the banners of Bosnich with his hands raised on the overhead bridges, the place was electric. I never had any doubts that we would sell out.
There was just a huge buzz going on everywhere you went. If you went out into the streets, then people knew who you were and what was happening in Melbourne. But overall, I think everybody knew the job that had to be done. We knew it wasn't going to be a formality.
The Socceroos went through a solid 90-minute session. Terry Venables flagging his starting 11 intentions when the players moved into competitive mode. The mystery surrounding Socceroos' selection was made a little clearer. Stan Lazaridis wearing the fluorescent yellow bib ahead of Tony Vidmar. After training, the coach confirmed Lazaridis will start at wing-back.
The last, say, few days, it got very nervy. The media attention, just everyone in Australia in general, really, because we were getting faxes from the Australian rugby teams and the cricket sides, and Steve Waugh and Mark Waugh, they're sending things, and just it felt like it was a whole country going out there, which was, you know, what it was supposed to be, really. And I think it was for the first time we could taste it, really.
Despite only needing a scoreless draw to qualify for the World Cup finals, Venables says he won't be playing for that result.
I think that we've got to play for a win. If we get a 0-0 draw, of course, I would be very, very happy with that, like we all would. But I think if you aim for that sort of thing, it's very dangerous too.
This isn't well known. Venables has chronic anxiety and nerve problems on match day, despite being one of the most experienced coaches in the world. And so he'll sleep in on match day as much as he can. He likes to go to bed as late as possible the night before. So my wife and Terry and a couple of others, we ended up doing the town of Melbourne the night before. Not drinking heavily or anything like that, but just Venables didn't want to go to bed. But nevertheless, he still wakes up early. He doesn't eat anything on match day. He can't.
Well, being a senior player who'd been through it before, you know, I mainly tried to get round to the younger boys or the players who hadn't actually been there before, or who I felt maybe that they knew they had another campaign ahead of them if they failed this time, to say, you know, don't come off the field with any regrets. Take it while you can. And I was mainly, as I said, 36 years of age. I was going around talking to the players individually and trying to get everyone focused. But once you walk on the field, you don't need anything, any more motivation.
Yeah, it's just magnificent. You know, I mean, really every international I play, when the national anthem goes, you know, I put the hand on the heart and I always get choked up, always. But, you know, that was something different, you know, again. You knew that everyone was watching. There was a massive crowd there. Your family was at the match, which very rarely happens to get them all involved.
I've never experienced anything like that before. It's unbelievable. As you said, the hairs on the back of your neck were, you know, I think 6 foot as well. So it was unbelievable. Just because I think for a moment, I think the players that were on the bench were even looking around the ground, and just seeing everybody standing up and singing the anthem was, I think it was a proud moment. You know, it just showed what it meant to be an Australian.
This is it. 11 months ago, Australia's quest for France '98 was placed in the hands of an Englishman. Terry Venables arrived with a larger-than-life image. And the ball's come across, an early chance for Australia! Well, it was a golden opportunity too, and here's the second. Vidmar again, still Aurelio Vidmar! Over the bar! 2 chances in the first 60 seconds to Aurelio Vidmar.
But a good start by Australia.
Slater with the corner, a goal! No, just past the post. Well, that's 3 chances in as many minutes here. Abadzadeh totally lost it. Great ball came in and it was saved off the goal line. And Aurelio Vidmar going through again. Still Vidmar.
It could have been 3 or 4 in the first 10, 15 minutes. The quality of football we played, I really believe, was as good as any that I've been involved with.
And I remember us, you know, fizzing the ball around everywhere, playing good football. I particularly remember Lazar out on the left wing, you know, just absolutely flying. And, you know, at times like that, you think, well, you know, he's on fire. Let's just keep sticking the ball out to him and just let him go. And, you know, he was just galloping. It was, you know, fantastic.
Lazaridis with a bit of freedom down this left-hand side, lengthening the stride a bit. It's a great ball across. Maduka's there, loose ball.
They were on peak form, condition and mentally, and they really attacked the game, you know, with a lot of passion, but they knew what they were trying to do. It wasn't hysterical passion. It was we knew we had to really batter them and try and, you know, get over the door or go through it, whichever way we had to get in there, you know. And the reaction with every player in the opening part of the game was just top class.
Full marks to Australia. I mean, the only complaint is that we didn't put the chances away. Here's the man again. Lazaridis having a great game.
Viduka, great layoff to Aurelio Vidmar in space. Still Vidmar, takes the shot! So close there for Aurelio Vidmar.
It was one of those chances. Yeah, look, just one of those things that on any given day they would have gone in. Unfortunately for that night, they just didn't go in. And it's happened to bigger players than me and in bigger games. It was just one of those things. You go there obviously to play your best and to score, and it just didn't happen.
Vidmar will get there first. Supporting quickly is Lazaridis. Vidmar on his own. Cross here, Australia!
You knew sooner or later we were going to break through, and obviously once we scored the first goal, they really never threatened us, possibly once in the first half, I think. And so you just thought, geez, you know, how many are we going to win by tonight? It was almost like the best performance you've ever seen by an Australian team.
I never get carried away by these things, but I thought we would win 10 or 12-0.
Well, the more the match goes on with the advantage to Australia, the more that Iran have to do something quite exceptional to get back into it. Vidmar. Well, the ball ran to Lazaridis perfectly. Little ball to the back post. Kuhl's there. Back across! Off the bar! Yes, the second! 2-0 Australia! Aurelio Vidmar! We're 2.5 minutes into the second half.
Look, it was probably more of a relief than anything. Like I said, we had so much of the game and so many chances, and they just weren't going in. And then at 2-0, it was a big relief, you know. It was a huge weight off, I think, everyone's shoulders. Okay, we got the second one, and now let's play some. Well, up to then we'll play some good football as well. But now let's play without the pressure.
That feeling of ecstasy, which was probably wrong on the players' part, but totally understandable because it happens in lots of games, and we're certainly not the first team to be guilty of that, is that we were qualified. You know, we were there. You know, for all intents and purposes, it was over.
Well, there was minor altercation from a spectator, and the Iranian goalie did a bit of damage to the netting on the goal there, and before the securities grabbed him and inflicted some damage of their own on the intruder.
And of course we get the second goal for Aurelio, and we were up and they were gone. And the thing I'll never forget all my life is the goal coming down. And people in this country don't ever remember that. They often talk to me about the game. And when I said what had happened, and it had happened on previous occasions with this chap, I thought, you know, how could have that happened? How was it possible? And, you know, there is no excuse. We were winning 2-0 and we should have won the game. But nevertheless, they were gone at that moment.
In that sense, it certainly did help them in that it's give them time to stop, have a talk, say, you know, this is what's happening, and regroup themselves without question. However, there's no reason why it should have changed our game.
Players maybe were at that stage thinking, well, you know, we're not far away from going to the World Cup, and it can happen. When you have a respite like that players would be, their minds would be wandering somewhere else.
What is going on in the mind of Eltel? He's had plenty of chats to individuals while the goal is being repaired. There will be no one on the Australian side that doesn't know exactly what's required for the remainder of the game. We've had the match held up now.
You told me now it's 6 minutes. I thought it was 25 minutes. That's how long it seemed. Because when you're playing and you got the adrenaline, you know, you're on a high, and you're sitting in the middle of the park and you're just waiting for the game to get on, to continue. You know, you said 6 minutes. It seemed like a bloody lifetime.
On my watch, despite the hold-up, we're about 43 minutes away from qualifying for France in 1998. Kuhl comes. Viduka gets there. Great play from Viduka to shrug off his man. Still Viduka! All the way, Mark Viduka!
We were still dominating in the second half, you know, for the first 20 or so minutes. We were still all over them, you know. We could have scored again, you know, but, you know, we didn't put them away.
In hindsight, everyone was saying you should have closed the game, you should have taken this one off and should have put him on. It's so simple in hindsight. But I still believe today that there was no reason to change. We dominated the game and continued to play the way we were. Why change when things were going well?
And you just wonder, John, perhaps this pressurising game that Australia is playing, that some of the boys might be just getting a little tired. It's very hard work to do that. Do you think Terry Venables might make a couple of changes?
Well, it is. The players are warming up now. There will be a couple perhaps to freshen things up.
I felt that the preparation wasn't good enough, not in regards of the national team, in regards of the players individually. If you went through nearly 90% of the team weren't playing week in, week out football. You had Slater was coming back from injury, had a hernia operation. Horvath wasn't playing for anybody at the time. Relio wasn't playing. Ned Zellich wasn't playing at the time. Harry was playing, and Viduka was sorta. He was having trouble in Croatia at the time. We've had probably 2 or 3 out of the 11 that were playing regular football week to week, and probably in hindsight that was proven right because we played so well for 70 minutes, then we tired.
Azizi, loose ball, danger here from Australia. Good run this by Iran, Bosnich!
And then it was getting apparent they were starting to flag, and Neville Rand turned to me and said, I think they're tiring a bit, the Australians. And I looked across and I saw the subs warming up, and I said, don't worry, Venables has seen it. And I assumed that Venables, I mean, then bang, bang, the goals were scored.
It's easy, given a little bit too much room and time to turn. Ali Daei going through, danger here, Iran forward again. 2 lunging, saving tackles, they've lost the ball. Bosnich is out of his goal! Iran has scored!
Well, the first goal was really a schmozzle. I mean, you know, you wouldn't mind if it was a cracker of a goal, but, you know, 2 or 3 of our boys had a chance to kick the ball out, and, you know, that was really 1 in a million.
You know, we were disappointed. The first goal was a bad goal to lose as well. And then at 2-1, you know, it's a completely different game. It's game 1, you know, it gives them the chance that, you know, they've got a sniff thinking they can get a result. And, you know, we're still really thinking that we should go through.
Probably a little bit controversial. I think if you watch the tape, it probably wasn't offside. It was a messy situation there. We had a chance to clear it, we didn't. People were falling over, it was ricocheting all over the place, and all of a sudden, from being on the ropes and down, ready to be counted out, they've scored a goal, and they thought, hang on, we're actually not that far out of the game.
Boogany has managed to find the back of the net.
You know, I sat on the bench, as you said, and I can remember it happened so quickly. It was, by the time they scored the first goal, and Terry said to me and John Aloisi and the rest of the subs to warm up, by the time we'd done our shoelaces up and got up to warm up, they'd nearly scored the second.
Complexion of the game changes. Let's hope it doesn't, but this is the best period for Iran in the match.
Ali Daei, danger for Australia here, the flag's down! It's an equaliser for Iran! 2-2 here. Disaster for Australia.
I get asked a lot, you know, about that goal, and it's a blur. It happens so quickly, you know, the spur of the moment. The ball sort of broke down, and you know, the pass and the pass and the run were perfectly timed, and they just opened us up. You know, could be many reasons for that, but you know, it's still a mystery, but you know, it's a nightmare. You know, we want to put behind us.
I haven't watched the tape again, so I don't know who it was, but I can always remember some nugget running out with his hand up near. So I don't know who that was, but to me that was completely stupid, because I always remember the training session before, there was a couple of things that happened, and Venables stopped it and he said, we are not playing the offside. And so...
I don't think it was the offside trap. I think we got caught square, and we didn't deal with it well enough. I always believe that a defender should be coming up or dropping off. There's got to be movement. You've got to be pushing up, or you've got to be dropping off. You've got to push up to squeeze the space to try and stop people having space, or drop off for the one over the top of you or around the side of you. We stood and didn't do anything. And I think, you know, it's something that I wouldn't really go into individual mistakes or things that may have happened, because we were all going to win together, or we were all going to lose together.
Never really, I think, was there any sense of panic until possibly when it goes to 2-2, and then you're thinking, how is this possible? You know, we've dominated the game. We've had enough chances to win 2 or 3 games, and then all of a sudden you find yourself where you're in a position where, unless something changes and changes very quickly, we're not going to qualify for the World Cup.
A very, very difficult ball game for Australia, because 2-2 puts Iran through. In boxing terms, they're knocked out, but they've just come back. The game is about taking your chances, and as I mentioned just prior to the goal, the most dangerous score to lead by is 2-0. You're there, you're halfway there already, you're through to France. Suddenly 2-1, the complexion of the game changes.
Then when we get to 2-2, I remember I came off and Vidmar come off, and we put on Tony Vidmar and Ernie Tapai. Now, no disrespect to those players, but we needed a goal. You know, you've got Arnie and Aloisi sitting on the bench. correct me if I'm wrong, I know definitely Arnie came on, and I think John Aloisi was changed as well. Yeah, looking back, you think, you know, that's a bit silly, really, isn't it? He had advisors as well. What were they doing, you know? Raul and Les were sitting, I can always remember on each side of them. You know, what was going through their heads? You know, I can't understand what was going through their heads.
He will have to come off. Now, will Venables leave? Graham Arnold still to come on. Tony Vidmar can slot into that centre-back position. Tragedy there for young Moore. Everything going wrong for Australia all of a sudden.
It's such an unreal situation. It was like, for so long in the game, we were not cruising, but, you know, we knew we had it comfortably in hand. And then it happened so fast, the 2 goals, that it was almost like just unreal, unbelievable.
And it all happened so quickly. And then you thought straight away is, how long is there to go? Because we need another goal. And so you start checking the clock. And then it's one of those situations as a sportsman, whenever you're behind, the clock's going quick, and whenever you're in front, it's going too slow. So, yeah, you started really focusing on the time and thinking, gee, how are we going to get another goal here?
A chance here for Australia! Arnold with his first touch. It is a chance to get the cross in. Viduka's there! Well, it doesn't come any closer than that. Australia need an absolute miracle now. The referee looking at his watch again. The match is over. Heartbreak for Australian soccer. They have been beaten here at the MCG by the away goals rule, the cruelest of fates for the Socceroos. The saddest of moments.
Well, as I say, it's like a stun. You're stunned, and it's like you've had a punch in the arm and it's dead. And you know, you've got to wait. That's what I say. A couple of days later, it's like the bruise. The feeling comes back again, and you've got to pick yourself up again, you know, and those around you. And it's not an easy job. Disappointment is immense for everybody. Everyone shared that.
Immediately after was just numbness. You know, it was just shock, numbness, just, how do you say, depression.
I could take losing 3-0 and getting played off the park and then holding my hand up and saying, look, the other team was better on the night. But I still felt that we were the better team that night. Not just by a little bit, by a long shot. And I couldn't believe at the time that we had actually been eliminated.
Tears, obviously. Tears. My career, national team career after 90-odd games was over.
After the game as well, it was just absolute, like, silence in the dressing room. It was just so disappointing. You know, it was more like disbelief throughout, so like the whole squad.
Well, like I said, once again in hindsight, people are going to say, why didn't Terry play Milan Ivanovic beginning of the game? If Peter Hoare didn't jump on the crossbar, we would have been in France. No. Had I scored 5 goals, we would have been all over in the first half. Look, that's the way the game is, and that's the way it panned out.
I stood in the toilet after the game beside Terry, and obviously I was upset because I retired straight after the game. And he was standing there, and we were both going to the toilet, and he just looked at me and he said, that is the most cruel game I think I've ever witnessed. He said, it's so unjust, that result. And he said, maybe I got carried away in the emotion as well.
At the end of the day, you know, if you're going to be really hard, you can say, well, you know, you're not paid to be, you know, to get caught up in emotions. He was paid to get us to the World Cup.
It was, I think, Australia's biggest single sporting disappointment ever, not just soccer.